Back again to talking about and thank you for calling us. Let's go back again to the discussion about the Civic Center and the $80 million. If the $80 million bond for the first phase of this redevelopment doesn't receive voter approval, what's going to be your course of action? Nancy?
Well, maintenance is something that you can't ignore. So we do have to get creative about how we maintain the buildings that we have that are aging and are experiencing, age-related difficulties. So I'm not quite sure how we fund those repairs, those maintenance activities, but to me, it's always cheaper to maintain something that you have than to build something new. So if we're looking at difficult times, if we're looking at budget issues, this may not be the time for the community center.
And as you point out, if you're going to build something new, the cost of maintenance in the long term end up rising with that as well. If the citizens turn down, if we go for them for $65 million and they turn us down, we have to ask the question, why? Was it something the community's not interested in that money, that cost? They simply feel they can't afford it. Or is it because we weren't providing the right facilities? We didn't describe the right facilities, or we're simply not designed the right facilities. And so you have to answer those questions as to what you do. Of course, you need to maintain things that are going forward. I want to compare it against some of the bonds that the school districts have done. The school districts have, raised $100 million or so for their facilities. The city has the bonding capacity, as defined by the state, to pay for this facility at some level. But unlike the schools, where it's very clear how your money is going to be spent, and this community overwhelmingly supports the schools, it's a little more difficult to explain the benefit, the community benefits you're going to get to a downtown. A new police station, new community rooms, a pool, updated library, city hall, for example. And again, I think we have a lot of work there. So if it doesn't pass, we'll have to ask ourselves, why not?
Okay.
I think that we know as a city already that we can pay for the new city hall. Part of the master plan community planning process was to do a professional poll, professional survey of residents, and we know that their number 1 and 2 issues are public safety and community services, such as the recreation center. So that is why the phase 1 plan is to have the city build City Hall, because we really don't think anyone out there wants to pay for the new City Hall, so we'll fund that out of our own capital improvement project budget. And then we do believe that the citizens will support, the voters will support funding for a new community center and a new police station. And I do want to make really clear that the council and the city staff cannot legally be the ones who go out and do the advocation for this, the advocacy for the new funding. It will be an outreach group that is separate from the city staff and the city council. It has to be a separate group that goes out and promotes the whatever bond or whatever creative financing means that we come up with. The city can put the bond on, the council will decide which elections such funding will go on, but once that's decided, then an outreach committee will be formed. My expectation is out of the 30 or so people who served already on the community center master plan will be involved in that outreach process. And I'm confident that with the improving economy, we will get to the point where people will pay for what they regard as the most important part of our community center. And if we don't, I think we do need to regroup and say, okay, what do we do now? I don't think patching Hillview is an option. I think we need a new recreation center, and I think we can get there, even if the voters don't support it, but I'm really hopeful that we all will.
Sure.
Or at least 2/3 of us.
That's what it takes to pass, isn't
2/3.
that right?
Yeah.
We'll require a 2/3 vote. Okay, go ahead, Jared.
I think a lot of good comments have been brought up here. If it isn't passed, we do need to assess why was it not passed. Were residents afraid of the cost? Were they afraid of the lack of services available with what was proposed? So that would be where I would look for. I would understand why it wasn't passed, regroup, and head forward.
Good. Okay. Well, I think we've lit a fire under our viewers tonight because we have another telephone call. Hello?
Yes, I have a question for you.
Sure. Welcome.
Well, thank you. I was concerned about perhaps a growing drug and crime problem in our town. I know it's happening in a lot of other cities statewide and nationwide. Could the panelists address perhaps some statistics and some stopgap measures for the future of that?
I didn't get the first part of what you were saying. It was, can you repeat the first part of your question?
Yes, I was concerned with perhaps growing drug and gang problems in our town.
Okay.
I know a lot of times it seems like just a big city problem, but realistically it is everywhere. Are there some ways they can address that?
Okay, so let me just repeat what you said. I think you were talking about your concern about the growing drug and gang problems in the city, and you wanted to know if they knew what the statistics were on those issues and any stopgap measures they might have, any ideas they might have for implementing some measures that would would get rid of it. Is that right?
Yes, and actually how that ties in with any perhaps future plans for recreation centers or deterrence.
Okay. All right. Does everybody hear the question?
Right. The first question was a lot easier than this one.
It is. That's right. This is a good question, too.
I'll start out. I don't have statistics memorized, but I serve on two nonprofits boards, the CHAC board that serves the Mountain View and Los Altos area, dealing with these issues and a number of other issues. And that organization was founded in the early 1970s, 1973, as a joint powers between the three cities and the, I think at the time, 3 or 4 school districts that were in the area. So it's been a problem that's been around forever. It's across the country. It's not unique to this, and it's not unique to just urban areas. And another nonprofit dealing with teenage alcoholism or alcohol drinking as well. So I'm trying to be on the front line, support the people that are actually working with our teachers, our parents, and our students to deal with these issues. And it's a very, very difficult issue. Now, what can we do? I think, again, if we invest in, as you were suggesting, perhaps some of the recreation facilities, if we have alternative things for teens to do, if we support those teens, and this actually starts out remarkably with the gangs in the 4th and 5th grade, you need to start doing anti-gang programs. But it's all of these community groups working together. It is the schools, it's the teachers, it's the city government at some level, and it's also educating the parents, because there are some members in our community, both within the schools, even in the parents, who like to believe it is not a Los Altos problem, that it's a problem in some other cities. It's no worse here than anywhere else, but it's here like it is everywhere else. So I think it's something you just can't ignore.
So I think we're really fortunate in Los Altos to have the unique situation that half of the city's annual revenues come from our property tax. Most cities rely on sales tax. We've talked earlier this evening about those being down, but in Los Altos we rely, at least half of our budget comes from property tax, and those rise every year as older properties turn over and are sold to new owners and the property tax rises. We take that half of our revenue and put it into public safety. So half our revenues are property tax, half our expenses are public safety. I think we're very fortunate to have our own police department, the Los Altos Police Department, and we also contract with Santa Clara County Fire District for our emergency services and fire protection. We have police officers on staff in Los Altos who work with our schools, who are at our schools daily, community services officers. I think we do a lot to try to support our youth through our police departments and through our recreation programs. I agree that this is a problem that is endemic. It is everywhere. I know my own kids have talked about the issues of drug use in their schools when they were long ago, when they were in high school and junior high. Now they're out of college, so I don't hear so much about that. But I think that it is a problem. I think we are fortunate to have the resources to support parents and the schools and our community in working through these issues.
Hey, Jared, you want to follow up on that a little?
Yeah, I think that with drug and gangs issues in our city, I think there are two main areas where we can be very effective: education and empowerment. Empowering our teens and our youth to allow them to understand that they can be involved with much more effective programs like our city. Our city has hosted the Youth Commission, which shows youth that they can get involved with organizations like our city rather than gangs to dedicate their time, their energy, and their effort towards something that's very, very empowering. I think that education is very important, educating the parents, educating the youth, educating the rest of the community that it is a community issue, and it's something that we need to be well aware of. In our community, we're fortunate to have active participants such as the Chase organization and CHAC that work to address these issues where they're occurring. Activities for youth that are alcohol and drug free are very important towards working away from drug activities in our community, providing the facilities, providing the activities for these youth. But it all revolves around education and empowerment for our youth.
Nancy,
Yeah.
what do you think about this?
Well, I don't know the statistics either, and I know we do have some gang activity in Los Altos and Mountain View. But I do know, I am familiar with one program that the police department has going on at the schools, and that's the DARE program, and it's a wonderful program that really involves the kids, educational program, teaches them about saying no to drugs, and I think that's been very successful. I don't know what the activities have been that deal with gang activity in the city or surrounding cities, but education, again, I think is key.
That was a great phone call, and it generated a lot of great discussion.
Can I add a
Sure.
little bit? We may spend half of our budget on public safety, but this is a problem. This kind of crime, it's tragedy is what it is, and it's not something that's going to be solved through enforcement. Now, the police officers are well aware of this, and those are the people who are really, really involved in programs like DARE and education programs throughout our community. But we don't really apply very many police officer resources, certainly not nearly enough to these kinds of problems. And so it's going to be the other parts of our community that are actually going to have to make progress on this.
Very nice. Okay, I want to finish up with the other two questions that I have. We have about 5 minutes left until the next break. So let's just finish up our discussion with the Civic Center. The population of the city of Los Altos is relatively stable, and yet the City Center redevelopment plan calls for an increase in government facilities. Do you think that expanding government services is a high priority for the residents of Los Altos? Nancy, you want to start with that?
No.
Okay, Jared.
Expanding government services, we have to keep costs under control. We have to understand that we do have a large percentage of our city's revenue coming from property taxes, which, as Val has mentioned, they are increasing as properties turn over. Our property tax base increases. I think that making sure that the services that we're providing are really meeting the needs of the community. I think that we will see an increase to some degree in our population over the next 20 years, and the Civic Center and the police department, City Hall, these are facilities that will be there for many years to come. So it isn't something where I'd like to see a much larger government here in Los Altos. I do believe that we need to be prepared for the future.
Go ahead, Val.
I'd just like to put this in perspective. We have an annual operating budget of about $27 million in the city of Los Altos. We employ 130 people to do that. So we don't have a large staff now. We have been very creative under the current city manager, who's been with us 3 years, of replacing certain positions with others. For example, there's a growing need for traffic management for projects that we have or to make our streets safer. We've just approved a new position called a traffic projects manager, so a transportation projects manager. So, and that has been then put in place without an increase in total headcount because we've reallocated other positions. We've sacrificed as a city. We've held positions vacant for several years now in order for us to bring in our budget on a balanced budget basis. So I think that there is a need for mostly larger recreation spaces. Most of the Civic Center is about new uses like the recreation center, not about so much expanding space for City Hall or the police department. There are needs within each of those as well, and so I think we need to look at the details of this. But in general, we're not looking to greatly expand the city staff. We're looking to meet the ever-changing needs of our community as it evolves from what it was when it was founded in the 50s to what it is going forward for the next 50 years.
Yeah. Let's
ahead.
distinguish between the increase in government that might be the physical size of the buildings versus the increase in government, say, due to budgets and taxes and the number of employees. I think the citizens should appropriately apply a priority to the city government being very effective and efficient about how they deliver city, services to the community, and they deserve that. And sometimes that requires a capital investment, additional space, for example. I don't believe the city, looking forward, is planning on any expansion of employees, and I don't see our tax base making that happen. But I do believe we need increased facilities to provide the services that the community does wants, such as the recreation programs that Val was talking about. And I think it's incumbent on us to find new ways to deliver those services very, very cost effectively.
And I want to apologize. Nancy, I might not have understood your answer. I didn't know whether you were saying no, you don't agree with the priority, or no, you weren't ready to answer. So I'll give you one more chance.
I didn't want to be first.
Well, you're going to have to ask the question again.
Okay, the question had to do with the Civic Center redevelopment plans, the expansion of the services in this new Civic Center redevelopment plan. It calls for an increase in government facilities. So do you think that expanding the government services is a high priority for the residents of Los Altos?
And I think the way the question was worded, I felt no, it is not a high priority for the citizens.
See. All right, just wanted to be sure, be clear. All righty. Let's see. I think we are just getting ready to run out of time, and we're ready for our next break. But we're so happy to have the callers who've called in, and we hope that the rest of you will also join us here in the studio audience. And while we're on a break, we'd like to have you think of some great questions, because you know this is a wonderful opportunity for you too to participate in finding out just exactly how the city council candidates feel about issues that are important to you. We can only cover so many issues here, so it's great when you can call in and participate with us. So we'll be right back in just a minute. Don't go away. Keep it right here on KMVT.
The people that we serve, they come from different walks of life. There are some people that just came to the country. There are some that have been here already, but unfortunately they have not been able to make it, and having to choose between rent and food.
They just help you out all the way around, and it's great. From young kids to whole families come here. They help a lot of people.
A lot of these people don't really have too many family here. A lot of these people don't really have work at all. A lot of these people, this is where they eat every day.
All they do is they feed people, don't ask them anything about it. Just if you're hungry, come in and get a lunch.
If there's people in need, this is where they should come.
Come and share in the joy of giving. Come and share in the joy of love.
My name is Aaron. I have a wish. I want to be a cowboy. And I rope cows. And I'm going to drink milk in the saloon and yodel songs at the moon. A cowboy's life is a royal life. His saddle, his kingly throne. I want to be a cowboy.
Have you ever wondered how a television show is put together? Do you want to know what goes on behind the scenes of a TV production? Now is your chance to discover for yourself. KMVT Community Television offers studio production workshops for adults and youth. Learn the basic skills needed to create a television production, including camera operation, floor direction, audio engineering, technical directing, tape operations, and directing. It's a great way to learn TV production. No previous experience is necessary, and most of all, this training will provide you with the foundation to produce your own show. Register now and learn more about TV and video productions by calling KMVT at 650-968-1540 or visit the website at www.kmvt15.org.
In 1985, while polio was paralyzing 1,000 children a day, Rotary International committed to a goal of ending polio worldwide. Very soon now, after contributing nearly $600 million and immunizing over 2 billion children, the goal will be achieved. Eradicating polio worldwide. That is humanity in motion. That is Rotary.
California farmers are in trouble because we're facing a water crisis. Our water's been cut, and it's going to be cut again. Food grows where water flows. It's as simple as that. The Sacramento Delta is the hub of our state's water delivery system, and it's broken. If you don't rebuild the system over the span of decades since the last time it was built, you just can't assume that that food's going to be there. The problem affects all of us.
Learn more at calwatercrisis.org, because we can't take water for granted.
Good evening and welcome back to our show. We're so glad you're still with us. If you have any questions that you would like to ask for our City Council candidates, please call us at 948-1540. So we're going to go ahead and move on with the last portion of our show. Time flies when we're having fun. Is that right? All right. Let's continue to talk for a few minutes about working with other important entities around the city. Our mission states that Los Altos is a great place to raise a family. How do you view City Council's role as it relates to the Los Altos School District? Jarrett, go ahead.
Right. I'm delighted to answer this. I think our school district that we have here in Los Altos is one of the important assets of our community. It is important to remember that these are two completely different entities within our community. The City Council and the school board operate autonomously from each other. But the communication between the two is very important. Our school board for the Los Altos School District has a subcommittee that meets annually with our City Council to help improve communications between the two of those. One area that I think we really need to emphasize and focus on is between the high school district and our City Council. I think that is a relationship that we need people to step forward and take a new role between those two communities, those two boards, the school board of the high school and the City Council, of course. So I think that would be a priority, is improving that relationship. I think we're fortunate to have a good relationship between the Los Altos School District and the City Council. They may disagree from time to time, but they do work autonomously from each other.
Down, go ahead.
I think it's important to understand that we have several school districts in Los Altos, and we also have the school districts cover much more geography than the city limits of the city of Los Altos, and those lead to interesting challenges in terms of priorities for all of us. So we have the Los Altos School District in North Los Altos that includes parts of Los Altos Hills, Palo Alto, and Mountain View, as well as part of Los Altos. We have the Cupertino Union School District in South Los Altos that covers parts of Los Altos as well as, of course, Cupertino. And then we have the Mountain View Los Altos High School District that, again, covers parts of both Mountain View, Los Altos, and Los Altos Hills. And that complexity leads us to have different, as I say, different priorities or different approaches to the problems that we have in common. And our jurisdiction as a city is our streets. The school jurisdictions are their properties, which are run by the state. They are not subject to any of our controls for zoning, setback, heights, any of that on their properties, and there are issues. We do have, as Jarrett said, a city schools task force that's a subcommittee of the City Council that meets regularly with the more than once a year. I think they've been meeting about quarterly these days. That meets with the subcommittee of the Los Altos School District. It would be great if we could extend that to both the Mountain View Los Altos High School District Board as well as the Cupertino Union School District Board for South Los Altos. So I'd like to see more cooperation than we've had. When I was mayor, I tried to bring all of those entities together with mixed results, I must say, but it's still something that I'd like to see happen.
Good. Okay. Curtis, go ahead.
You asked, I think, how the city would relate to these school districts. And I think that the correct answer should be as a partner and as an equal of those districts. Clearly, we have different priorities, but there are basically 4 different school districts. And I think instead of focusing, as I think it's easy for both sides to get into the habit of doing, on the differences and the authorities and that drive down from the state, where we are independent entities, instead talk about all the things that we have in common between these 2 organizations. And I think when we do that, we'll actually find that there are a whole number of ways that we can cooperate with each other. We can start to address traffic in a more broad scale. We can start to understand how what the city does downtown affects the revenues in the schools, and perhaps the community building that we can do through our youth, through school activities that utilize some of our business districts throughout the town, such as the downtown. And then perhaps the schools can help with their network of PTA parents about how we can reach out to the citizens about the value of a new civic center and the community values there. So if we talk about all the things that we have in common, I think we can have a much better relationship than we have right now.
Okay, Nancy, go ahead.
And again, I think the biggest challenge that we have when we're working with the school district and they're working with us is how we manage our traffic issues on our city streets, our residential streets, and how we manage parking issues at the schools. And again, it's been said before, but a joint interaction between the different groups and attempting to cohesively address some of those issues, because I understand that there have been requests for the schools to address some of their traffic issues, and the priorities are different, obviously. So we need to make this more of a priority for both groups.
Good. Okay. Well, now let's get some input from another man on the street interview from downtown Los Altos, and see what kind of question he has for you.
Hi, I'm Larry Gardner. I live in Los Altos, and my question is, what are each of you going to do about the recent disclosure that some of the water quality issues in Los Altos have been recently presented by the California Water Company, saying that some of the constituents of the water meet the federal standard but don't meet the California standard. We're worried about that. I'd like to see how you react to that. Thank you.
That's Larry. Okay. Go ahead, Curtis. How do you react to what Larry has to say?
Well, I don't think I have all the facts on that. Larry Gardner's he's been involved with the water district, Silicon Valley, Santa Clara Valley Water District for a number of years. I knew him. He's a neighbor, actually. I knew him when I was served on the Water Commission for the City Council. A lot of those water issues are dealt with through the Santa Clara Valley Water District, to which the City Council appoints a Water Commission members, and a lot of the lobbying occurs through there. The rest of the council can get involved at other levels. I encourage everyone to vote for Lou Becker, actually, for the Water District as well. He's a City Council member and an excellent civic engineer. He'd be perfect for that role. So to the extent that there are safety issues, I think it's very important that the city get involved, use our vote on the Water Commission, draw attention to these things, and get a full accounting for, how severe is the problem and what are some corrective actions that we can take from that.
Sure, go ahead, Val.
All right. It's funny to see Larry up there. I know Larry. Our kids went to school together, and I knew he was a neighbor of Curtis's, so it's nice to see him. I haven't seen him for a while. Again, I think to reiterate what Curtis said, we have Lou Becker served as the council representative on the commission that is an advisory body to the Santa Clara Valley Water District for over 10 years now. He's served on the city council for 12 years. He really is our expert in this. I'm not quite sure how we're going to replace him when he steps off the council this November, but that's really the appropriate way for the city to get involved with these issues. And I don't have a lot of data on this particular subject, so something I will look into after this evening is over, and to try to understand better than I do at this moment.
Go ahead, Jared.
I think this is a great example of how the City Council needs to effectively work with the committees and commissions under it, as well as with regional commissions, the Santa Clara Valley Water Board. I think that, again, I do not have the statistics on this particular matter, but I would again, highlight the importance of the City Council working effectively with the committees and commissions that it has at its disposal.
Okay, Nancy.
I'd like to see the data, actually. If there's an issue, I think we should know about it and it should be publicized. I don't know what the data is.
Piggybacking on all of that too is that Los Altos is supposed to be a green town, and water quality as well as water conservation would be important, an important aspect of the green movement, the green town movement. Okay, good. All right.